Entrepreneur Show on a beautiful Tuesday with my good friend and author, Wendy Mackenzie Pease. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Don. Great to see you.
It's so good to see you. I think that we met we met somewhere in EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. I don't know if we met virtually the first time or if we met
I
in
think the first time we
person
met in person was at the Global Leadership Council in DC.
in DC. And do you think that's the first time we met, or had we talked online, maybe
I
through
think we had
Slack or
talked on Slack first.
yeah,
So when we were both there, we met.
I think that's right. And so it's all coming back to me. And so
Yeah.
Wendy is a very valuable member of EO Boston. And when I was in EO, I was very active regionally and globally. And so, hey, let's start with a gratitude exercise that I start every meeting with called One Good Thing. And because I didn't give you any forewarning, I'll go first, and that will
Okay.
give you some time to decide on which of your many good things is the one good thing you're going to share today. And so, my my one good thing is the the in-house accountant that we have for our companies. She has a family member who was diagnosed with stomach cancer, and not very old, like mid 40s, and went through around a chemo treatment, and then shrunk everything down, and then no, I take that back. Went through around radiation treatment, shrunk everything down, went and had surgery, is recovering, looks expected to
Mm.
make a full recovery. And all of us have had somebody in our life that cancer touched. And so, my one good thing is I'm grateful that it was just a touch, and nothing more serious than that. So that's my one good thing. So, Wendy, what's your one good thing?
My one good thing has to do with you. We booked this podcast recording a couple months ago on the day that my book was launching. And you called me today on my cell phone and anticipated that if we pre recorded and launched, it wouldn't be on the date. So you anticipated it and said, "Hey, can we go to live?" And realized that that would be much more fun because I'm high on book release day, with excitement. So it was just that you thinking that through the extra little bit that I'm really grateful for.
Well, I love you for complimenting me on that. But, the other side of the story is I was looking at my schedule early this morning, and I said, oh, this is my podcast day with Wendy, but it's also her book launch day. And, our normal procedures we record, but then it's like 6 weeks later that we publish. I'm like, man, that's not going to work. I'm, she's my friend. I'm trying to help support her book. And um, so I was like,
It did
well,
not go unnoticed. I was so appreciative that you put two and two together and changed the format for how we're doing it.
I'm glad to have the presence of mind. I'm glad it all worked out, and sorry for the a month or two ago whenever we booked it, me just booking it on the day, thinking, oh, that's not going to be no problem. But that's a big problem if we do the recorded version. So here we are live. I think we're pushing out to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And so thrilled to be here today. And so today we are celebrating Wendy's brand new book. It drops today. It's available on Amazon. Tell me you have a copy of it to hold up to the.
Oh, I do.
Oh, you
I do.
do. Yeah.
This is my author's pre-copy that I got. Yeah, so today is November 4th, 2025. It's voting day, but it is also book launch day. And the book is called The Secrets of Global Sales, and it's available on Amazon. And we're actually running a special for launch day for $5.84. The price is going to be much more expensive later on, but for anybody who's listening and goes on Amazon to buy it today, you can get it at a discount.
So let me tell you, after knowing Wendy for 5 or 6 or 7 years, I can tell you not only is she delightful, but she's a genius too. And so when she tells you there's secrets of global sales, you should listen to that. And it is voting day. But one way we vote as consumers, we vote as entrepreneurs, is we vote with our dollars and we vote with our feet. And so things that we dislike, we walk away from. Things that we like, we walk towards. And you can vote with a whopping $5.84. And I got to ask about the 84 cents. Where'd that come from? Is that an
Amazon.
Amazon thing?
Amazon. We were going to run it for $5, and they said, nope, you can't do it. The lowest price you can go is $5.84.
Okay. Well, I would have told you to argue with Jeff Bezos, but I don't think it would have worked. So
yeah.
$5.84 it is. Vote with your dollars. Go to Amazon.com. Okay, Wendy Pease, and you'll find the book. And it's her second book, so be sure either buy both or buy the second book. Okay, don't make the mistake in only buying the first book. It helps Amazon's brain. The more books are purchased in a day. Okay, and so I want to encourage you. Trust me, Wendy is super sharp. It's her second book. Okay, you're actually the CEO of a company called Rapport International. Wendy, tell us what Rapport International does, and that'll kind of connect the dots on the global secrets.
Yeah, before we do that, though, I do want to call out that I have a co-author on this. Hannah Fellman Penns co-authored this with me, and the book is based on episodes of my podcast, The Global Marketing Show, where we had people come on and talk about their success in global business. So there's well over 100 episodes, and we picked out about 15 of them that really made a point and then wrapped the story together. So I can't take credit for this except for driving it to the finish line, because I had a co-author on this, which was really helpful, and then all the experience shares of the people that in there were simply amazing. I mean, when Hannah and I did a podcast recording and talked about our favorite chapters, we pretty much covered them all, because each story has something to drive home. So then the reason for writing my first book, The Language of Global Marketing, and then the second one, The Secrets of Global Sales, is that I am owner of Rapport International, which is a company that offers high quality written translation and spoken interpretation services. And through all the questions that clients ask and the experiences and the mistakes I see, and the successes, I wanted to share the learning so people could, from the first book, build a strategy about how to do their global marketing. And then the second book takes it more into the sales, the practicality of how do you connect across cultures, should you be using AI, how do you leverage your employees, how do you build a strategy. So it's very good information that people have said is easy to read, but packed with a lot of stuff that they say, oh, I didn't know that. So
Love that. And so glad that you gave credit to your co-author. Writing a book is a huge accomplishment, maybe even more challenging as a co-author. My last book I wrote with two co-authors, and so three of us, and there were days that none of us liked each other, and but we got to the end, and we all like each other. So if
Yeah,
you're just
luckily Hannah and I enjoyed working together, but it was funny where I'd make an edit and then she'd put it back to what she had, and then I'd go and we'd finally talk and say, "Wait a minute, what's going on here?" So we could come together and make sure the edit was something that we both liked.
Yeah, well, nothing that will force you to work closely together as much as writing a book
Right.
together. Yeah.
The
So,
other thing that we learned about was M dashes and N dashes. You know all the grammar rules around dashes?
yeah, I don't know if we want to get too technical on our folks today.
No.
No, but
But message me on LinkedIn if you want to know how to use an M dash or an N dash and why they're called that. I know more than I ever needed to know. And that is thank you to Haley Simkis, my niece, who helped me out with that.
you'll learn a lot writing a book, and you'll learn a lot, about yourself. So if you're just joining us today, my name again is Don Williams. I'm host of the Proven Entrepreneur Show. My guest today is my good friend Wendy Mackenzie Pease, who's releasing her second book today. And today we're going to dive in to her story and authority and how writing a book can literally change your business and your life. I know a little bit about it. I've written 9, and I'm creator of a program called Book Builder, where we help entrepreneurs write their book either DIY, they could do it themselves with our software, they can do it with us where we coach and help you build it, or done for you. We write it, you own it. Wendy, again, congratulations. It's a
Thank you.
big day.
Yes.
So, okay, Wendy, first question. What moment sparked this book, and when did you know I have to write it?
So during COVID, I started the Global Marketing Show podcast, and I still host it now. So if anybody out there is doing global business and wants to be on the podcast, I'd happy to host them. What I found is that people's stories and experiences about doing international business were so fascinating. And I thought it's a shame to only catch it on the podcast and not have something in written format. So it was about a year into that I picked a handful of the podcast episodes that I thought would make a good chapter. And then we targeted some people because I thought that they'd have something valuable to add, like Carol Copeland Thomas, who talked about conquering cultural issues. So I had her on. And then Zach Selch, who is he'll help in and help train you on global sales and actually do some. So he's written a book on global sales also, but there's how you go about building trust, because it's different in each country. So then I reached out to Hannah and said, well, do you want to do this with me? So she took a stab at the majority of the chapters of taking the podcast and then writing it into, first it was blogs that we used, and then we took all those blogs and put them together and wove them into a story. And then one of our editors, Lisa Ray, she said, these could make good sections, like laying the groundwork, navigating language and culture, fueling growth from within, and then driving growth. And then what we did at the end was include a lot of special offers from people who support global business. And we have bonus material where you can go to get some free state and, federal, as we record this, the federal government's closed down, but they still have commercial officers that can help you go into companies. So, it was probably, I think it was a year and a half. I've lost track of time. Thought it took a year, but it could have taken 2 years. So
It's easy to get lost. I've helped hundreds of people's do their books, and something that's really common is that sometime in the journey, they just kind of throw their hands up and say, "Should I even finish, or am I just done?" And
Yeah.
that's man, that is really, really, really common. And
Hmm.
so the the answer to that is take one more step. If you're going to quit, quit tomorrow. Don't quit today, and just kind of keep that in mind, because if you put one foot in front of the other, you can get to the finish line. And
Right.
and like you're at the
And
finish
that's
line today, how's it feel? How's it feel to be busting that tape on the track, book number 2 in the can? How's it feel, Wendy?
it feels good to have a hard copy in my hand, but as you and I know, now the work of marketing the book comes out.
Yeah, yeah,
So
no doubt.
it
And
feels, I
so,
was talking to our marketing person at Rapport International, Michelle Fox, and we were talking about, oh, we should do a press release and we should announce it to these industry groups that, have global trade members into it. And so now starting to think about all the people who might be interested in it.
yeah. Well, um, we've got a friend, I can't remember who said it, but it was something about, hey, a junkie first draft is better than no draft at all. And
Yeah.
and so don't wait for all the lights to be green. Get started. Life's an experiment. Take a shot. You're better than you think, and you're ahead of most people anyway. So so let me ask you this. What's one insight from the book that you think even experienced entrepreneurs, they just get wrong?
I think that I would have to say it is, I don't know, I don't remember. Oh, yeah, chapter 7, Insider's Perspective on AI and Translation by Adam Bittlingmeyer. He was instrumental in creating Google Translate. And what he said is Google Translate brought bad translation to the masses. And so he clearly understands, he talks about the background of it and why AI can't just take over the translation that you're doing on important things. I mean, if you're traveling and you're in a taxi or you're sitting at a restaurant and having a conversation with somebody, it's absolutely phenomenal. There's no substitute for the speed and the price of it. But when it starts getting into anything that can affect your revenues or your liability, you want to make sure to not just trust AI. So, because that's such a hot topic right now, I think that's why I'd highlight that chapter.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, AI is obviously changing the world. There's no doubt about that. But I do think that most of the experts will tell you, you know, you must have a you must have a human involved
Yes.
to check, because every once in a while AI will, the technical term is hallucinate. It will
Yeah.
lose its mind,
Yeah.
and if that's on a contract with a client in Argentina and you're based in Boston, that's maybe going to be a problem. And
Yes.
so you want to be, double sure. And so I'm sure it has some place in translation, but still you need an expert human to do the job. And so,
Yes, he talks about how you can build a custom LLM that can be particular to your company, and then how you might be able to build some trust in it, but that you need to have a lang ops or a language operations person that's going to manage it and stay on top of it so the hallucinations don't get out of control.
yeah, I love that. And and the hallucination thing, I think a year ago, if you asked it to, create a picture of me holding up my hands, it would give me 4 fingers on one side and 8 on the other. And you're like, that was a pretty obvious hallucination. That has improved greatly, but still there's nuance in language that takes a human. Let me ask you this about your writing journey, and this is like second book, so this is
Okay.
not your virgin run.
No.
Okay, so was there anything, and if there was, please share, was there a surprise about the writing or publishing process? Time two.
I would say for both books, what I did was write a table of contents. And then if I had said I'm going to write a book, that would have overwhelmed me. But what I said was I'm going to write a blog and I'm going to aim to do one a week, so we have material for our website, then we can post, then take those blogs and marry them together for a white paper. And then each white paper became a chapter in the first book. In the second book, each podcast episode was one. And so the style of writing was very different, and how we had to make the points of what our guests were saying and why that was important was a different style. But ultimately, I loved the writing part best. The editing part, that's why, you said earlier, if you get a bad first draft done, hallelujah, you're, most of the way there, because the work really comes in the editing. And, so by the time I get to, publishing the book, I am so tired of looking at the material.
Yeah. So one of the
I
things,
loved my first book, and I had a college roommate, Wendy Miller, proof both books, or she read the first one after it was published, and then I asked her to proof this because she reads it carefully and could give me suggestions, and she said she thinks she actually preferred the second book more, which I was, I didn't know. I'm so close to him, I can't judge. So I'd love people's feedback on that.
that is one thing about writing a book is you'll spend so much time with it, you'll become almost blind to
Yeah.
things that happen. And so our last book that we did with Jamel Holloway, who was national championship quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, we did, a Kindle, and we did a paperback, and we did a hardback, and and it's a 200 and some page book, 8 by 10. I mean, it's a pretty nice book. So we launched the book. We were fortunate to be bestseller and all that jazz. But and what surprised me was how many hardbacks we sold. Hardbacks led the way. Okay, but football fans, I think, they wanted a keepsake, and so they bought the hardback. Well, now it's gone through multiple layers. There's 3 co-authors, multiple layers of editing, okay, before we get to publish. But literally, we publish his last name. We misspell his last name on the hardback book. And the
No.
only person who catches it is somebody who bought the book. So it gets that far. Okay.
Oh
Oh,
no.
yeah, horrible. And so one of my co-authors, not Jamel, but Dr. Evans calls, says, "Hey, we got a problem." I'm like, "What's the problem?" And he's like, "We misspelled Jamel's last name on the hardback." I'm like, I don't think so. And he's like, "Oh no, I know so." And so, when you have a problem in business, and a lot of times when you have a problem in life, I'm a big believer in run to the fire, not away from the fire.
Right,
And
yes.
and so obviously we corrected it immediately. And so, any book bought from that moment on is going to be correct. But there was a quantity of books that was purchased with the misspelling. And so we immediately put posts on all the social channels that, hey, oops, we made a huge mistake. Okay. We misspelled Jamel's last name. His last name ends with a Y, Holloway, and we ended with a T. Okay. No Y, a T. You know, I can't tell you what happened. I don't know who's at fault. It doesn't,
Yeah.
things like that, it doesn't matter to get, it's worthless to get angry. We made a mistake. We all own it. So we put out a post and we said, look, we made a mistake. We're so sorry. Okay. And obviously you can return the book and we'll replace it. No problem. But, you might want to keep it.
It'll be a collector's item.
You might want to keep it because it might be, I'm not promising you it will be, but it might be a collector's item like a misstruck coin or something like that. You know how many books we had returned?
Zero.
Zero. Yeah. And so, people are, forget what you hear on the news. People are basically good, you know, be
Well, we
honest
had
with them and tell them what's
a
going
bit of a
on.
panic this morning because we have a whole bunch of people lined up to buy the book today so we can, get into Google's algorithm. And we were saying that we were running a special for $5.84. And the email was ready to go out today, and I woke up early because it's daylight savings time. So I got on my computer by 5 o'clock, and I looked at the listing, and it said $19.99. I'm like, no, it can't be. So I went in and changed the price to what it's supposed to be, and I got a message that said it could take up to 72 hours. So Shantae, who works for us, she called in and she's like, I set this last Monday. What happened? And they were like, could take 72 hours. So luckily by 9 o'clock, the system had updated and the right price was on. But we had a little bit of a, how are we going to run to the fire on this one?
Yeah. So, one of the reasons we created Book Builder was to smooth out some of those things that can. And trust me, folks, something always happens.
Yeah.
I don't have one book that we've helped a writer or any of mine that the launch went off without a bump. Okay. And so like when you talk about editing, my first and second book, I had two professional editors and it was really expensive and really time consuming. And so, in Book Builder, I don't believe in using AI to write, but I do believe in using AI to edit. And so we literally can edit an entire book, pretty quickly. And, and I'll just give myself a quick commercial here. We have it as DIY. You can buy the software and do it yourself. You can attend a live training, okay, get the software, be in an accountability group, templates, all that stuff. Or literally you can tell us your book, we'll write it, and if you can talk, you can have a book. So, okay, tell me this. What doors, this is your second book, and you published the first book when? A couple years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years, was it 2022? Yeah.
2022, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, no, it was 2021.
2021. My, how time
Yeah.
flies when you're having a good
It
time.
does.
4 years ago. So share with everybody, what doors has authorship opened for you?
Yeah, I think there's about two things. One is that to get visibility for my company, I like to do speaking engagements. Plus, I'd like to edutain people with language and culture stories and then try to give them helpful knowledge. And so being an author has helped me get speaking engagements. And then oftentimes I'll use an outline from the book to speak about it. And the second way that it's helped me is rather than giving out pens or shirts or coffee cups or, which are all great things for brand recognition, we give out a copy of the book to clients who are asking some of the questions. So my dilemma now is, how do I decide which book to give to people? So I figure if it's something in particular, I'll send them the global sales if a chapter I think would be very helpful to them. But if it's more general marketing, I'll give them that one. But I got to
Yeah.
figure that one out. How do you decide which book to give out?
Well, two ways. So I hate to travel with books. They're just, I'm a light traveler, and even on international, I'm a carry-on and a backpack guy. And so my wife and I, we did China for 26 days a couple years ago. Both of us in an Asian carry-on, which is only 7.87 inches deep. It's not the size of a U.S. carry-on, and a backpack. Um,
Yeah.
Now I did have to have clothes made when I got there because I had a couple dress occasions, and like
Mhm.
packing a suit, and a dress, and that stuff takes room. Okay, and so my first stop was with a tailor in Shenzhen, China, and
Oh, I still have my suit that I had made from China. I love it. It's
yeah,
custom made, custom colors, and very reasonable price.
yeah. I told him, I'm not coming back here. You got to ship it to this other city, to this hotel, because that's where I'm going to be. And you have, I think, 14 days because we did some travel before and then after that event. And I can remember him asking Mr. Song. I can remember Mr. Song asking me through his daughter, whose English was almost understandable. His was nowhere. His
Yeah.
English was as good as my Mandarin, horrible, and he wanted to know what Plan B was, and I was like, "Well, Plan B is I'll walk out on stage in my dress shoes, my socks, my boxers, and a t-shirt." Now he thought that was very funny. My wife didn't. My wife did not think that was funny, but I was like, "So there's no Plan B, dude." So
Yeah.
it all worked out. So I think books, and I say this all the time, the root word of authority is author.
Hmm.
Okay. And so that's important to recognize. And then point two is this. If you're thinking about writing a book, I promise you the day you publish the book, and it pays to get help. 99% of people who start a book never publish. Many times they even finish. They have a finished manuscript and they never publish. It's sitting in a drawer someplace. It's sitting on their hard drive and they never publish it. But if you publish a book, you will see you differently. The world will see you differently, but
Yeah.
but more importantly, you will
Yeah.
see you differently.
Yeah.
Okay. And books have got me on stages. Stages have taken me all over the world. So traveling with books. I hate to travel with books. That was what you asked me. Sorry, I fell down the rabbit hole. So I hate to travel with books. If it's an engagement where they're buying a copy of the book for every attendee, we take care of that and we have the book shipped to the
Right.
venue, not
Hmm.
touching them. And I've done that internationally. It's a little more of a challenge if you're shipping 150 books to Ireland. You have to go to Amazon Ireland to do it. Okay, but it's doable. It's not the
It
end of the
is
world.
doable.
It's doable. It's
Yeah.
a couple extra steps, but it's okay.
Hey, just read the book and you'll figure out how to do it globally.
There you go. Wendy knows I just bumped along and figured stuff out, but Wendy actually
Yeah.
knows how to do it. And then if it's a smaller engagement, the the most of my books are on business. They're for entrepreneurs, but I have a
Mhm.
passion book, and that's my gratitude stories from our hearts. And I want 1 million people to begin a daily gratitude practice, because the more you practice gratitude, the more grateful you become. The more grateful you become, I can't say the better your life is. I don't think that's true, but the better you are equipped and the better view you will have of your life. And so
Mhm.
and so
Yeah,
that's my
I
go-to
started
book.
a gratitude practice the November before COVID. And I was so productive during COVID and really got through it fine. And I attribute that to my gratitude practice. So I've gotten a little sloppy recently. This is a good reminder to start it back up.
Hey, the important part is not that you never didn't run into a bump, but that you pick it back up.
Right.
And literally, if you came late, we started with one good thing, which is my typical gratitude practice, where people share something they're grateful for, their family or personal life. But literally, it can be as simple, if you're just tuning in, it can be as simple as saying, "I'm grateful for, and then whatever you're grateful for. And if you do that every day, I promise that gratitude will take hold in your brain. Okay, your reticular activator, okay, will latch onto that, and you'll become a more content person, and you will handle everything, adversity and extreme wins, like writing a book. You will handle everything better than you did. And so I think it was Ziglar who said, have an attitude of gratitude. And so I didn't say that, but it sounds good. Attitude of gratitude. Yeah.
Yeah, the
So,
other thing, the other hint that I was grateful to learn on my first book, which I didn't do on my second book officially, but we did it in the editing process, is I recorded an audio version of the first book. And yeah, ironically, the publisher I was working with at the time, or somebody was giving me advice. They said, and I was debating, do I record it myself as the author or do I find a voiceover? And somebody said, oh no, men's voices are better. And I went, forget that, I'm doing it myself. And I did hear that people do want to hear from the author. So I hired a recording specialist that works on NPR out at Cape Cod in Massachusetts, and he came to my house during COVID. I have a wine cellar that I use as a storage closet. The wine never lasts long enough to go in there. But that was the best soundproofing that we had. And I had the final manuscript, but what I found by reading it aloud was that it caught little mistakes that my eye had missed and the editor's eye had missed. So in the second book, both Hannah and I took a time to read it aloud, like to ourselves, to make sure that we caught all the little things. So hopefully we did. Haven't heard of any yet, but
it's a good tip. And I tell all my authors, I'm like, look, if 60 days in somebody calls and says you used a colon instead of a semicolon on page 147, don't don't lose your mind. I can almost guarantee there will be something
yes,
even 2 months later. Okay.
yeah.
And it's okay. Don't worry about it. You know, the other mistake we made on Jamel's book is Hall of Fame football coach Barry Switzer, okay, household name, one of the most winning football coaches in college football history, wrote an introduction. Did we put on the cover introduction by Barry Switzer? Nope.
Oh, no.
But it's there now,
Oh my gosh.
and so that's the beauty about, self-publishing, is that you can always make a change. And my second book, the Romancing Your Customer book,
Mhm.
we published it, and the day we published it, I began the second version,
Mm,
and I re-released it about 4 months later. And
wow.
so, it was close to where I wanted it, but it wasn't where I wanted it. And so I published it and started that day. And so there's a lot of tips and tricks and techniques to,
Yeah,
actually getting to the finish line, and why it
yeah.
pays to have a coach. So I think we're just about coming into the finish line, Wendy. So,
Okay, this has
so
been such a nice conversation.
well,
And
it's
if
my
anybody who's listening has questions, feel free to reach out to either one of us on LinkedIn. I think we're both active there, right?
we're
Or
pretty.
Facebook.
Yeah, well, we're or anywhere almost,
Yeah.
anymore. And so, and I will tell you, you know in celebration of Wendy's book, if you want a free 15-minute strategy call, reach out to me and I'll give you one, whether it's on writing a book or just growing your business. So, Wendy, is the easiest way to reach out to you at Wendy Pease on LinkedIn?
That's really easy. I'm on LinkedIn all the time and I respond to messages. You can also email me. That's Wendy Pease at Rapport. That's spelled Rapport and then short for international, INTL. So it's rapportintl.com.
Awesome. And if you want to reach out to me, I'm Don at donwilliamsglobal.com and on social media almost everywhere. And so somebody will raise their hand. But if you want a free consulting call with me personally, I'll do that as a celebration. Just tell me that you bought one of Wendy's books today. Not one of Wendy's books, that you bought book number 2. Show us the book again, Wendy. Show us the book
Secrets
again.
of Global Sales.
Just tell me you bought Secrets of Global Sales for a whopping $5.84, and I'll be happy to just do that for you for free. So, Wendy, thank you so much. I'm so proud of you for crossing
Thank
that
you.
finish line. And then I'm going to ask you this. The question you're going to be like, why'd you ask me that?
Okay, fire away.
Is there a third book
Yes.
in your brain?
Yeah. Well, it's already outlined. It's managing multilingual employees. So it's outlined, but I am taking this year off to just actually I might do podcasts. If you manage people that speak other languages, I already know a bunch of hints rather than, the answer I hear all the time is we want to teach them English. There's so many ways you can get good quality employees that don't speak English, and manage them without you having to share a language. So I'm looking for podcast guests on that topic, and eventually I'll write the book, but not right now. I'm going to
There you go.
celebrate this one.
Well, you've earned a good rest for the winter, and we'll see what happens in spring. That's typically when people start thinking new things, new projects. So, Wendy Mackenzie Pease, congratulations, huge accomplishment. So happy for you. And folks, go to Amazon, buy the book, $5.94. Okay, do it today.
Yes, and thank you to you for the podcast, and thank you to Hannah Pence for being the co-author. It was fun working with her.
Okay, folks, that's all for today. Go to Amazon, get that book. See you later.